Hey everyone, Nathaniel Gavronski here. I actually want to do a video about living with autism. I just happen to be at the Capitol building, just finishing up the stuff, so this is the glorious backdrop, okay? Okay, so one of the things about autism is our relationships, and in fact, most of our relationships don't really last all that long. Typically, like on average, it's like 6 months to a year, and then a relationship starts to kind of end. And that's been pretty common. I've got a few exceptions of that, 6 months to a year thing, but only like with people that I don't have a lot of contact with right now. Recently, like the friends I've been friends with for like the longest, I've kind of lost contact with, so it's a thing. And that's a tough part about having, autism, is the lack of relationships, and that actually brings a lack of stability as far as having a tie to any one place or location or a group or any type of a setting that you have. With my political stuff, that doesn't seem to be a problem. Because again, I'm not like with these people, fortunately, 24/7, and I get, a lot of breaks in between each time I'm working with them. So that's kind of a nice benefit of this arena. But when you look at how we get involved in relationships, for me it feels like I have a relationship with someone, whatever type of relationship it is. It seems to last as long as I have a purpose within that relationship, or as long as I'm useful. And then once I no longer really in use, like I'm not useful, then they seem to migrate away or have other friends. This has been the case with pretty much every single relationship I've had, all the friendships, really kind of everything. It's like, so like I always try to make sure that I'm useful, that I'm benefiting that relationship, whatever type of friendship, whatever it is I'm in, and that's hard to do when there's not always a way to be useful. You can't. You almost kind of become like a servant almost if you're gonna actually try to do this. So you're like, hey, I can get that for you. Hey, I can do this for you. That's kind of what the relationships boil down to, and I also don't think those are healthy either. But that's kind of what happens with the relationships that I'm in. And I've wanted, the reason why I'm even doing politics or doing the policy things is, what I'm trying to get out of it is I wanted to create a stability to where I could actually have a family, right? So that was the whole purpose of doing all this. And so I was trying to make changes to the way government works, the local, sometimes the local policy, sometimes the federal level. A lot of this is at the federal level, to make changes so that not only me, but other people like me could successfully have families without, being punished for doing so. And that's kind of the life that I've been stuck in. I get to just be part of some really cool things. I got governors calling me and asking me to go work on projects with them all over the place. I have dinner with members of Congress and their families. I don't, unlike their staffers who collect the paycheck, I'm actually at their houses having dinner. I'm getting thrown out of hotels in Minneapolis. With their parents, with their kids, it's a whole different relationship than what most people have. But it's not for the glamour. And I think the reason why I'm invited into these things is because it's obvious that I'm not in it for glory or glamour. I'm actually trying to serve a very, very specific purpose. And so the whole purpose of me doing this was actually to be able to position myself to actually have a family. And that's the whole purpose why I'm even really involved. And if you guys have ever seen the movie Family Man, it's Nicolas Cage. It came out, probably 20 years ago. But the premise of it is that Nicolas Cage is like this big top business executive. He's jet-setting all over the world. He's got all these deals. And the people that work around him have these personality traits that are either really, really weak or overbearing. And it's I don't want to give away too much of the plot away, but all of a sudden he wakes up and he made one decision in his life that kind of either made him a family man or this business executive, and he wakes up in the alternate universe where he made the decision that made him like the family man, who led him to down that path. And he gets to experience what it's like to be like the family guy, but it's only a taste. Like he's actually told, someone visits and this is only a taste. You're getting rewarded with the experience. You get to experience what this would have been like for you if you would have taken this path. But in reality, you didn't take this path. So I'm going to send you back to the world that you come from. And when he gets there, like all he could think about is like, yeah, I could go do this executive stuff. I could do all this glamour stuff. But he's never able to really not have that. That he wants that family tie. None of the glamour, none of the power of the executives, suites could actually fulfill what he had with the family. And so he's constantly trying to go back to that. And the movie ends without him actually letting you know if he actually is able to achieve that or not. But I actually kind of got my own experience of this recently, and it's over now. But I got a taste of it. I got a taste of like what it'd been like to have like those relationships, and like you're teaching young people and you're like experiencing their growth and how they're developing and how their thought process is, and that was really, really, really cool. And I think it's kind of like my way of what I'm doing is showing that hey, I might not be able to have that family situation that I really, really wanted, but because of the work I'm doing and because of my hard work trying to make that change for other people, that I was at least got the ability to experience that for whatever, for the year that I got to experience it, and I'm very grateful that I got to have that experience. But I think, I'm kind of at the end of the Nicolas Cage movie where I have to get back to trying to make those changes, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on. But as far as like the autism goes, this is, for people like watching this about learning about how people like with autism are dealing with, people who have autism and they're trying to find other people who are having the same experiences. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times you don't even get a reason why a friendship ends. It just stops, and there's no communication. There's no really anything at all. It's just, by the way, this is now over. You're not even told that. You just kind of get ghosted, I guess is the term the kids use these days. But that's kind of what it's like. But it's been that way my entire life. So you always, you gotta be careful, someone with autism about trying to be useful to the point to where you actually almost become, being taken advantage of. This is a serious problem. You can't let yourself be taken advantage of. And sometimes your good nature to try to have meaningful relationships can lead to you being taken advantage of. And I know I've been in that situation before, and I know a lot of other people with Asperger's and autism are probably dealing with it the same. You don't want to become the tool for someone else's agenda. You want it to be a mutual benefit. A friendship's supposed to not take like a lot of strenuous effort. You're supposed to just enjoy each other's company for the mutual benefit of your human connection. But if you are in a position to where you feel like you have to find a way to be useful, or you're not really, or you don't feel like you have a place there, maybe it's time to reevaluate the friendship. I've always wanted to get closure with all of these relationships, and like back at high school, like the one that was the worst for me up until recently. I still have PTSD from that. I suffer from it constantly. But I've learned from it, and I've also learned sometimes 8 years later that you'll come across those people you had those friendships with that ended, and they act like nothing ever happened, like you're best friends again. I don't understand that, but it's a thing. So, for people who have autism and are watching this, be aware that, you could, 8 years down the road, all of a sudden, they come back into your life and they act like nothing's ever happened. You can't question it. You don't want to, dwell on, try to make peace, try to understand, well, you did this and did this and did this. it's not going to help. Just enjoy the rekindling of whatever relationship you had, and whatever the new one becomes. But you're not always going to get closure. I learned that sometimes trying to work really hard to get closure on something is actually going to be counterproductive, because the person you're trying to get closure with will actually, you'll push them further away by trying to interact with them. So just, cut your losses. And sometimes it's hard because like you have put so much time and effort into developing a relationship, and trying to be useful and trying to be overly nice and thoughtful. And you can sink a lot of time and effort into something. It just is not going to go anywhere. And if you keep trying to push it, you're just going to make it worse. There's no chance of having a relationship down the line. And from one of my examples, like 10 years ago, like that person, I honestly probably wouldn't want to be their friend now. And the things that led between then and now would have still happened if they were in my life or not. And so I probably would have had the same falling out, but it would have been worse later than what it was actually then. It was even bad. But like, just because you're dealing with a really, really, really bad relationship or an ending of a relationship now, it doesn't mean that it's you're not going to have better relationships in the future. Like, I remember back 23 years ago, like I was so lost on how to deal with human beings at all. And I want people with autism understand that the next person, the new people you meet in the casual like conversation you have with a cop or a security guard or some tourist or in the congressional office or wherever it may be, like they don't know any of that stuff about you. They're meeting you for the first time, and they don't have any of that baggage about what they should expect from you. And so don't discount like other people out. And like what I've dealt with recently, and like it was the most painful experience of my life. I can't even begin to tell you. I can't compare it to anything else in the world, really. But I know that from my past experiences, and I know a lot of people with Asperger's and autism have like a lot of past experiences, we're always trying to model our behavior towards what we've dealt with in the past, or like movies and books, stuff like that. You can learn from these relationships as they turn over, and to heal from them quicker, and that's the goal. Don't try to dwell on them too much. Don't always seek out trying to get an answer or closure, because I think that can actually damage future relationships that you have with people. You might not feel like you want to have like a really closely bonded relationship with anyone for a while. I think that's normal even for normies. I don't think you necessarily have to be neurodivergent to feel that way. And it's okay to like step back and say, what, I just don't really want to deal with a lot of people. I kind of want to just do my own thing, and that's fine. Like, I'm on the road a lot, so find a way you can concentrate on things that you're really interested in, and maybe relationships will turn around. Maybe you'll make a new friend. Maybe you won't for a while. Like, I'm out here in Washington, and I had a step-in meeting in a senator's office, and I happened to walk in, and there's a whole group of people talking in the lobby of the senatorial office, and it's just randomly by a topic I know a lot about, and I was just waiting patiently for them to finish so I could talk to the people I need to talk to. But a couple of comments into it, I actually brought up a couple of things that were really relevant to their conversation, and they were applauding me. Like, they all wanted to meet me afterwards, and I didn't know this group really at all as to the issue, but they were all like really happy to meet me. They wanted to talk further. They wanted my help to like know which of their offices they should go talk to in the House and the Senate, and I of course I agreed to help them out, and I worked with the Senate staffer on understanding things that this group really didn't know how to explain, like where the laws were at on this. But it felt good. Like, I'm out here dealing with going through a really, really tough time, and really, really sad, and I'm able to actually completely change someone else's world for the positive. And that's what I see what I'm doing out here. I want to give that up, even though I sometimes in some places, in some states, like I feel like I'm just getting nowhere, and that I'm just wasting my time, and so many people are working against me. But for those people that are in that office, like, they felt like they had an ally, someone who understood them for the first time. A lot of people they tried to meet out here. So it was a huge thing for them. I actually met some guys that are actually working with like weather and how to determine weather patterns, and they're working with the weather patterns and like the airports, and so they can work on flights coming in and out. And I knew a lot about what they're trying to implement, and so I had a great conversation with those two guys. I don't even know where they're from, something Campbell Industries, but it's you're gonna always, even if you're going through tough times and you're dealing with really bad relationship endings, I don't want you to think that everyone else in your life doesn't care about you. I mean, like, I'm actually visiting. I visited a friend out here that I met randomly at the Capitol steps in Iowa City, and he's a really good friend of mine. His whole family have become really good friends of mine. He's actually now like my oldest friend, and I didn't even talk to him about the other things in my personal life, because he's kind of like a special relationship, a special bond, a special friendship, and you don't always have to worry about the bad things. Try to concentrate on the good things and the good that you're doing. Just because you have autism or Down syndrome or whatever ailment you're dealing with, whatever neurodivergent thing, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to find happiness in what you're working on. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to have a positive impact. But again, that's what I'm out here for. I'm trying to make a positive impact. I'm grateful for the experiences that I've had, even the ones that have ended badly. There's a lot of good things about them, and my hope is as those people go on through their lives, that even though there's no day-to-day positive interaction with me, that somewhere along the line this thing will come up, and one of my interactions with them will actually jog a memory of theirs or help them with a situation, and they're able to have a positive thought about me years down the road when I probably haven't thought about them in 15 years. Then I did my job. So yeah, this is kind of mostly an autism video, and this is a video mostly for people who have autism or dealing with some kind of neurodivergent situation. And for those of you that don't, or just trying to learn about relationships and how people with autism are dealing with relationships, and you think, well, they're always so hard to deal with. I mean, this is one of the things where, like, I'm really guarded right now about talking to certain people, because it's just, I feel like I'm just wasting my effort and time by doing so. And like, we keep reminders, like we have reminders that we keep, either like jewelry or bracelets or whatever, that we use to kind of remind us of things without just kind of casually there. At least I do this. I don't know about everyone, but I know a few people with autism have found a way, like either some type of special like trinket or bracelet or ring or necklace that they keep to remember. And they also like special places that they went with certain people, like that friendship is over, so they never go back to that place. So the last time they were there was with that special friend. I have movies I haven't seen since 1999 or 2000. It's like one of my favorite movies, because the last time I seen it was with a specific friend, and I want the last time I ever seen it to be with that person. And in like certain locations, I took people to, like, I will never take anyone else there, and I myself probably will never go back, so that I have, the last time I was there was during that creation of that special memory. So people trying to learn about how our relationships work, and people that are trying to deal with relationship problems with autism, I hope this is helpful for you. I've had a long day. I am getting out of here. Sorry this video is so long, but I just wanted to make it for people so you guys can kind of follow along. Alright everyone, stay healthy, stay wealthy, as always, stay wise.